Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Clifford Adams Jr., and you have now listened and are now watching the second episode of The World According to the Great One. Now, last week, we talked about domestic violence and the effects and the truth on a growing trend of men being the victims and not exactly the women. And make sure you watch that video as well and leave me your comments, likes, dislike, whatever they may be, and also leave your opinions on something that I may have taken and left out. Today, we will be talking about the child support system. We will talk about how it has affected any and every community imaginable, and also the positive and negative effects of child support and the Health and Human Services system. And I will start by giving you these few stats. Over 80% of men in this country who have children pay child support. That's a very high amount. Very high amount. And there are only roughly about 10% of women. There's a gray area in there somewhere. Now also, let us also bring in those numbers that only 25% of all men that are on child support pay the full amount. So you see, I also gave in all numbers. Now, here is where the problem is with our child support system. I have gone on the record and letting the majority of my friends know that I do believe that it should be abolished. I think we should get rid of it completely. But for multiple different reasons and for all sides, both male and female alike, we should get rid of this. First of all, I've always believed that anything that happens in-house should always be dealt with exactly that. In-house. The moment when you start putting judges and the government in your own household, you no longer control your household. Male or female. Let's start off by addressing the male aspect of this. I do believe that if you help create a child, that you should be there and step up and do your best to be a male parent. Because whether people want to admit it or not, and part of this has to do with feminism, children, male and female, do need a father to be there and help raise those children. Because it is very hard for a woman to raise a man. Just like it would be equally as hard for a man to raise a woman. But that's another topic. Going back to the original point is that we have, as a society, become so worried about the monetary aspect of kids. Children have become another form of income. And men, if you do not see this, you should wake up. Because the majority of you are only being used for one reason. Your sperm. For these ladies to do what they want with it. But because a lot of you agree that women have control over their own bodies, your input is negated by the fact that if you suggest otherwise, then you are looked at as being a coward. That you are not ready to handle your responsibilities as a man. Your responsibilities as a man are relatively simple. You protect and you provide. Even though as old school as those things sound, those are our core. And men, we have to do our best, and we have gotten a lot better, and especially with black men. And I can tell you that from experience because, like I said before, I am a father myself. We have gotten better at letting women know that we want to be there once again for our children. Because let us not debate these facts either. The drug epidemics back in the mid-60s and early 70s, along with the Black Power movement and a lot of other things, have really skewed the view of why black males are not, and I'm talking to black males especially at the moment, are not in the household. Because when you do all those things, you incarcerate black men at a 35 times higher rate than you do a white male. When you lock them up for an extended a longer period of time than you would a white male for the exact same crime. And then when you add to the fact that the Section 8 housing and all these other entitlements that we are now giving our women, they require what? They require that a man is not in the household to raise his child. That is discouraging. And now we wonder why we have so many overly soft and demasculinated men in this country. It is what feminism has helped create. And by example, some of us as men has helped create that as well. Because some of us did not decide to handle our responsibilities. We decide to walk away from them. And that's one thing we can't do no matter how hard we try. Because sooner or later that child will grow up and wonder where you are. And then you will have to explain. But that is the decision you make. And nobody, even in the court systems, are going to make you pay for a mistake that you chose not to raise a child. And guys, also know this, and I've learned this, there is no greater feeling in the world than to know that there is somebody out there that is a smaller version of you. And knowing that when you leave this place, however you leave this place, that you will live on in the form of your child or children. And knowing that you left your mark on earth be one of the greatest feelings you ever had. Now let me turn this to the women. With so many ways to get rid of pregnancy, whether it be the pill or IUD or a Depo shot, for some people, even abortion, even though some people may not agree with it, but that isn't a preventative measure, as well as adoption, if you cannot raise the kid in which you don't have the monetary gain. These are all responsive measures, just like you telling a man, well, we both laid down so we both can raise it. Yes, that may be true. However, he only has two preventative measures. Either not sleep with you or wear a condom. And last time I checked, condoms break. So there must be a lot of you that are taking these pills that are 99% effective, these IUDs that are 99% effective, and all these other things that are 90 to 95% effective that are having a lot of kids still. But let us just address the other elephant in the room. There are a lot of you women that are feminists that do not like to take responsibility, however, for your own actions. As I've heard Mr. Mark Rudolph say before, and I've seen this happen in my own personal life, around friends and other things like that, that women love, for the most part, to be capitalists at work and socialism in their socialists in their social life. What I'm basically saying here is that you want all the perks and all the qualities and all the abilities to want to be the man, but you still want the victimology of being a woman. Now, how does this play into the child support system? When you feel angry because a man did not stay with you because of a child, or you decide to be angry with him because he chose another female instead of you, or because you wanted to do something to get him back because you simply could not have him, the child support system is ready and available. And there are a lot of you women, black and white and any other race, that have children so just simply for income reasons. And when you do that, I also want you to know this. You are only perpetuating a stereotype. You are only hurting the child and the man. I'm going to go back to addressing the man for a second before I go back to addressing women. Men, let's just say men. For those of you, here's some key information. When you're on child support, let's say you don't pay child support. You can now go to prison for not paying child support. Non-violent crime. Okay? You can lose your driver's license. Okay? You can lose your livelihood just by not paying child support. I've seen it done. So now as I go back to addressing the women, did you ever think about this? Let's just say you put your man on child support and he gets a certain amount of $1,000 behind. Okay? He gets arrested. You know he does that time and he gets back out and he owes you nothing because that money goes to the state and not you? Do you know that? Do you also know that when you put this man on child support, do you also know if he falls behind, he can lose his driver's license? So what do you do without a driver's license in this country? Nothing. Do you guys understand that? Without a driver's license, you cannot even get a social security card. What makes you think he can get a job? With no job, there's no income. With no income, there's no house. With no house, there's no car. No car, there's no way to live. And when he has no way to live, he can't take care of his responsibilities. And that includes his child or children. Let me further delve into this. And I know a lot of guys are going to be clapping in a minute. There are some women who agree with what I'm about to say. And for those of you who don't, quite honestly, I'm not talking to you because any word I say, you're not going to listen to. But here's the facts, again, about child support. There are the majority of men that do pay child support. What do you do with the money? The majority of you that get child support, the last people you use that money for are on your kids. And I know some of you are going to be like, oh, well, I do this. No, you don't. The vast majority of you use the money that is given to you. You use it for what? Your car, your clothes, your new extensions, your new hair, your new makeup, new perfume, new underwear and bras at Vicky's Secret. Go to the bar and drink it up. Maybe put it in your nose and snort it up. Put it in your blunt, smoke it up. Maybe go trick it off on the new guy you're talking to. Live off of his child support. Wanting a man to do everything possible for you to have the audacity to call yourself independent when big brother, a la your white daddy, a la the government, is the sole purpose of your existence. Hell, I would be independent too if my rent was $25 a month. My child support reached over $500 and it gave me everything I wanted. Yet my child is absolutely malnutritioned, snot running out of their damn nose, clothes that are too small or way too big, too dirty, undereducated, completely unhealthy, completely uncleansed. Shoes are talking. You have the audacity to use a man's child support for everything else for what it is intended for, the child. I want that to seep in for a moment because there are a lot of you women that do it. And there are a lot of you men that let it happen. Men, I'm going to tell you something. Stop pining. Get your ass up. Start standing up for yourselves when it comes to your children. Just because you've allowed this country to dictate what you should do with your children is why we are in the situation where our children are not what they should and need to be today. And another word of advice, men, if you're doing shit for your kid, I applaud you. Get a damn receipt. Get a receipt. There's a lot of you buying a lot of shit for your kids, and guess what? What happens when you give it to the mom? It looks like trash. They just say, "Oh well, forget it," whatever. Because guess what? Your daddy will buy some new shit. Ladies, you need to start allowing these men to be in these kids' lives and not the way you want them to be. It is okay to have standards. It is okay to want some of them met. But in the end, you cannot tell a father how to father because you would not want a guy telling you how to mother. Furthermore, you do not tell a man who he can and cannot have around his kid when you are willing and able to have anybody you want to have around your kid at any point in time. The hypocrisy in that is more than damn ridiculous. It is asinine. Women, I'm going to make this real simple for you, just like I've made it very simple for men. If you want progress to be made, if you want a man to take responsibility for his actions, then you give him the opportunity. There is nothing that any judge in the world is going to make a man do what he already doesn't. And I think, quite honestly, in the heart of hearts, you know that. In closing, how this affects our children. Our children grow up record unemployment, record violence. Our boys grow up to be men who are overly sensitive, who don't give a damn about their women because they've seen how their women treated, they've seen how their mother was treated when they were younger, or how their women treated men. Our daughters grow up without a backbone because, quite honestly, they've grown up so angry to where they use their anger as their motivation, growing up to be 40 years old without a marriage and without children of their own because they've been scorned from birth. Our society, we only want to take advice from somebody who is there to entertain, a la athletes, movie stars, and even other types of celebrities. As parents, it is our job to leave our mark on our children, positive or negative. And in the end, whether it be rap, rock and roll, video games, or anything like that, it is us to make sure the child support system ceases to exist. They are not helping your children. They are hurting them. They're crippling them for life. Because those same children who grow up in that system will birth more children in that system. And if we, as parents, black, white, or otherwise, get rid of that system, we will finally realize that our children are not there solely for monetary gain. It is time If we really want people to take responsibility for their own actions, then we do it ourselves. The government will not be a middleman anymore. My name is Clifford M. Adams Jr., and I am against this system. May it finally rest in